Good morning, everyone. It is good to be here, even if remotely. Never was well-being more important to us all. I have worked as a teacher of students experiencing social, emotional and behavioural challenges, invariably as a result of adverse childhood experiences. As an educational psychologist, liaising with schools and families, and an academic, researching and writing about aspects of well-being, especially in education. And I have come to the conclusion that universal social and emotional learning in a safe and supportive environment, although not a panacea, is one of the best ways we have of reversing negative spirals by supporting individuals, developing important life skills, valuing diversity, building belonging, and promoting positive relationships, resilience, and responsibility. It is also our best hope for creating the world we all want to live in. What is now commonplace to us would have been in the realm of magic and miracles a couple of centuries ago. Space travel, the internet, the Genome Project are just a few of these. But the immense leaps in our knowledge have not been matched with similar advances in wisdom. We still have many incidents of family breakdown, violence, community conflict, racism, homophobia, toxic masculinity, power-hungry politicians and companies focused on nothing but profit, regardless of human cost, and self-absorbed narcissism, what is good for me and just me, to name just a few social ills. But that's enough of the negativity. On to the solutions. As you can see from this slide, solutions are based in both values and skills. What we believe underpins what we do and how we do it. In 1996, UNESCO published the Delors Report, which identified these 4 pillars of learning for the 21st century, later expanded by the OECD in their Learning Framework 2030. Learning to be and learning to live together encompass the understanding, perceptions and skills that enable individuals and societies to flourish. But these critical aspects of education have often not been seen as a priority or even as important as the other aspects of learning to know and learning to do, and they are often the first to be sidelined and even jettisoned when time is pressured. But the research is clear. Not only does social and emotional learning, learning to be, learning to live together, promote mental health and well-being and pro-social behaviours, it also has a big positive impact on learning. It seems to me to be a no-brainer. With a focus on healthy relationships, schools are going to be happier places to be. Students will want to jump out of bed and go on a Monday morning, and when they're there, they'll be more engaged. And of course, the learning outcomes then increase for everyone. But there is a proviso. How you teach SEL is as important as what you teach. There have been well-founded criticisms that indicate that talking about feelings may not be a safe place for students, especially those experiencing adversity of any sort, nor for teachers who fear that they will be opening Pandora's box without the training, the skills, let alone the time to respond compassionately and effectively. And it is for this reason, alongside now decades of experience in this field, that I have developed the Aspire principles and pedagogy. And I'm going to summarise these here. But we don't have long to do that, and I would encourage you to explore further, either in the book, Circle Solutions for Student Wellbeing, Edition 3, or on the Growing Great Schools Worldwide website. where there's a whole section devoted to that, alongside a number of research articles. Firstly, A is for agency. You can't teach SEL in the same way you might teach some other subjects that are basically about gathering facts and regurgitating them. Telling students what to think and how to act might very well backfire. So rather than give them information and tell them what they should be doing and should be thinking, we ask them good questions and provide a wide range of activities that encourage students to talk with each other about these issues and get them thinking. Young people will then be waking up their own minds about what's important and what values they see as something they want to endorse in their lives. Agency is about empowerment and taking responsibility. And when you take responsibility for your actions, it's harder to blame others when things don't go to plan. So teacher control is the opposite of agency. Teachers have to be in charge of situations, but controlling students is something else. An example of this is in my work with Aboriginal girls. We ran overnight camps with them, and rather than give them a set of rules, which the teacher suggested we did, we said we needed them to reassure us that they'd be safe and responsible. We asked them to work in groups of 3 to talk about what they could do. And when they came up with some ideas, they fed those back to the whole group. We collated them, and then all the girls were asked to stand up and change places if they agreed to stick by the rules that they had developed. They almost all did that, and we never had any problem, partly because the girls were encouraging each other to stick by their own rules. S is for safety. In Circle Solutions, discussions are always about issues, never about personal incidents. And one example of this is about a new entrant who came to the class, arriving mid-term, escaping family violence. And the teacher said to me she was a little kleptomaniac. She was routinely nicking things and then expressing surprise when she was discovered. No one in that class wanted to come down heavy on her because she was clearly vulnerable. So we decided to do several sessions, circle sessions, on trust, including what it meant and what it felt like when trust was there, and also what it felt like when trust wasn't there. Within 2 weeks, the stealing stopped. And we couldn't say for certain that those two things were connected, the circle activities and the stopping of the stealing. But in an evaluation of circles later that term, someone said, you think about the bad things you've done and you want to make up for them. Another important safety valve in circles is the choice to speak or stay silent. You can just say pass. There is absolutely no pressure to say anything, and many students choose to speak when they feel more confident and they feel they have something they want to share. We also avoid speaking in the first person. So instead of saying I, maybe I feel happy when, we would ask, finish this sentence. This would make someone happy or sad or angry or scared. This use of the third person can be really valuable as it takes the focus off into individuals and onto the issues that they're discussing. The P is for positivity. Much of my work is based in the combination of 2 major theoretical strands of psychology. Positive psychology, what needs to happen to enable individuals to flourish, and community psychology, what needs to happen to enable communities and society to flourish. This means coming at things from a different angle. Rather than dissecting problems and using deficit language, which basically just leaves us with problems in pieces, doesn't get us anywhere. We need to be much more strengths and solution focused. And I know a lot of you listening to this will already be doing that in your own settings. We want to be asking, what do we want to see happen? And how much of this is happening already, and how can we get more of it? And this approach needs to permeate all the conversations we have in schools, as well as in social and emotional learning. In circles, we also have fun together, and this has proved to be powerful. And it's why students over and over, all across the world, ask teachers when they're going to have the next circle session. They absolutely love it. Laughing together releases oxytocin into our bodies, and that makes us feel warmer towards others and more willing to collaborate with them. It's a very important factor in resilience. When you're more willing to collaborate with somebody else, you get to know them better and you can reach targets more easily. Without a doubt, Circle Solutions is an engaging and positive intervention, and this is just one quote from one evaluation, and this is of our Aboriginal Girls Circle. And this young woman said, you could go to Girls Circle sad and leave it like really happy. We know how important it is for well-being that people feel they belong, they matter, they can participate, and in school they feel they belong if they see themselves making progress with their learning. But we do need to be aware of the two aspects of belonging, exclusive and inclusive, because they have very different outcomes. Exclusive belonging keeps people glued together by a sense of superiority to anyone outside, and as such, that is the root of many social ills: elitism, racism, homophobia and misogyny. Exclusive belonging can dehumanise people. It's dangerous. Inclusive belonging, on the other hand, welcomes everyone and values diversity. So in circles, everyone is mixed up all the time, 3 or 4 times every session. So students routinely talk, work and play with people outside their usual social circle. And this breaks down barriers and prejudice. And it stops people making fast judgments about each other. One of the activities we regularly do is a pair share, where students are asked to find what they have in common with each other. And this is the basis of our shared humanity, treating others as we would wish to be treated ourselves, because we see the commonalities between us. Tying inclusion up with agencies, there are several activities in the book that are structured to make students responsible for a safe, happy and inclusive class. And specifically, those activities address issues of family structure, of mental health and of racism. R is for respect, and this is for both individuals and for culture. It is encapsulated in 2 of the Circle Solutions guidelines. When one person is speaking, everyone else will listen, because when you're speaking, you want people to listen to you, and there are no put-downs. One school I worked in Australia had a laminated poster saying the same thing in every part of the school, and the words on this poster just said, "This is a no put-down zone," and everybody knew what they meant. And in that school, the students told me there was no bullying. If you're interested in learning more about respect for culture, then I suggest you read the chapter Dr. Brenda Dobia and I wrote for Social Emotional Learning in Asia and the Asia Pacific. And in that we summarised by saying we are not being respectful if we try and impose an individual, competitive way of doing things within a culture that is collective and collaborative. Being top in some cultures is a source of shame rather than pride, but many in our society don't get that, and it's a basic value within education. Finally, equity. These cartoons sum up the difference between equality and equity. Equality is treating everyone the same, and that has value, but it is also problematic because people are different and they need different things. Equity is where you combine flexibility and support where needed to give everyone equal opportunities to succeed and flourish. In circle solutions, everyone gets a turn, no one dominates, we are flexible where we need to be, and importantly, the teacher does everything the students do. They participate in all those discussions. And this changes relationships as teachers get to know more about their students than they have ever done before. And this in turn changes what is possible about believing in the best of them and finding ways to meet the needs, especially of the more challenging, who are often the more vulnerable young people. Social and emotional learning will never change anyone's life, let alone the culture of a school, if it only happens for half an hour once a week, let alone once a term. All the learning needs to be embedded and reinforced in everyday interactions. This is what will make the difference. This is how you can build well-being across a school, across a community, across a society. Guided by Aspire, everyone can be a change agent for well-being. Thank you all for listening, and I wish you all well.